Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
What's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico's here.
So far, it looks like I have everything ready.
Chris Carr, that was in question for a minute.
That was really good.
Chris Carr is here.
Hey, everyone. I think we're a month away from Sonic.
Whoa!
Wow. But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics that we've got ready for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you're watching live and you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, and we reserve the right to determine if we think it's appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And hey, here's the good news. If you're not watching live, and maybe you're listening to our podcast a little bit later in the day on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, or maybe you're watching this video a little bit later in the day, the good news is this tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you have a question too, go ahead and fire it on in and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, we got a lot of stuff to cover here today, so let's get things started with this. You know, sometimes during the show, some news drops, and right near the end of yesterday's show, I would say seismic news dropped.
Whoa.
Dropped so heavy it shook the foundations of the earth as Minecraft dropped a new trailer. Yep, I mean, a lot of people are waiting to see Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, sure, but no, what they really want to see is Jason Momoa as a wigged out former video game champion. That's what everybody wants to see. Now, of course, they dropped the first trailer for Minecraft a little bit ago, and it was truly awful. It was truly, truly awful. And so we thought, well, they better do a better job on the second trailer. Well, the second trailer dropped, and they did do a better job by about 1%.
Oh,
It's still awful. Come on. Who watches this trailer? I mean, of course we all love Jack Black, but who watches this trailer and thinks, yeah, I can't wait to see this movie? Not a single thing. You know what the one thing that made me grin slightly? The one thing that made me grin slightly was the killing the chicken part, with them dropping the lava on the chicken and going, and then there was just roasted chicken there. That was kind of funny. Nothing else in it was funny. Nothing, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people say, John, you don't understand the popularity of the game. Oh, I understand the popularity of the game. I do. But this just looks horrible. I mean, if you can't make a trailer out of 2 trailers, if you can't make one that is even remotely appealing to somebody who's not played the game, and I've never played Minecraft. I've always wanted to, though. I have no ill will towards I've always wanted to try it. I just never have. But I thought this trailer was abysmal, and that sucks because I love Jason Momoa. All of us love Jack Black. I forget the actress's name from Peacemaker, who's in there.
Danny Brooks?
I think that's it.
Danielle Brooks or
Yeah.
Danny Brooks?
Danielle Brooks.
Danielle Brooks.
I want this to be good. I want it to succeed. I remember when they announced it, I'm like, okay, I'm down for this. I think this trailer is just gutter. Just absolute gutter. But whatever. Chris, you had a chance to see the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess you felt a little more positive about it than I did.
I felt slightly more positive than you, where I do think this is a better trailer. But
It is a better one, yeah.
It's better, and I wouldn't say 1% better. I think this is substantially better than the last trailer. And, you know, great casting here. You also have Emma Myers, who, of course, was in Wednesday, and she just did Good Girls Guide to Murder, I believe was her show on Netflix. She's fabulous. She's a wonderful actress. And I don't want to besmirch the name of Jack Black, especially this close to when everyone's starting to watch The Holiday again and realizing that he's always been super hot and wonderful. But this isn't for me. Like you, I never played Minecraft. I understand the importance of the character Steve. I understand all of these things. This one does look more fun, but this does look like something that was meant for a streaming service, not a theatrical release. And it just doesn't look like it's for me. But I'm sure if you are a diehard Minecraft fan, or you're a kid who loves like these kinds of gags and things, like the teleportation gag, or, you know, the pigs attacking, the zombies coming out at night, this could totally be up your alley. I also thought Transformers 1's trailers were all poo-poo, and that movie turned out great. So I could be totally off base here. This could be the most charming thing to come out. But right now, I don't think so.
Ray, I was listening to you watching the trailer. You sounded like you were actually really into it.
Look, I like the way it looks. I played some of the game. It's very addicting. I'm gonna give this one a shot. Surprisingly, I don't know how close it is to the game because I've only played the game maybe for one session, but it was a long session because it was a demo.
Sure.
It was a demo on
Oh,
Xbox
it was back in
360.
those days,
They gave
yeah.
you like an hour, and I used up the whole hour. And I actually bought the game. It's still in plastic. I never opened it because I didn't want to get sucked into it because I knew how easy it would be. So it's still unopened in my living room
You
somewhere.
could sell it.
But this looks like a disaster. But I still want to watch it just because it looks. Some parts of it look actually really cool to me. I don't know. I'm not a hardcore Minecraft player, but I'll give this one a shot. Maybe. Well, if it's on A-list, absolutely.
Well, it'll be on A-list. I mean, all of them are, but I got to tell you, I am very enthusiastic and excited about not going to watch this movie.
Okay.
I don't even think I'm going to go give it a shot. I think I would rather stay at home and hose off my roof or something. I don't know. I just...
That's based off of that. And the first trailer, the teaser came out, and I was like, no, just no.
Yeah.
This one came out, I'm like, maybe. I'm going to wait for the Rotten Tomatoes scores to come out. Not even like premiere or whatever. I'm going to wait for the Rotten Tomatoes scores to come out. Then I'll make my decision because this could have potential. It is the director of Napoleon Dynamite, and I like Nacho Libre.
I like Nacho
You
Libre.
like
yeah.
Nacho Libre.
I
You're the
love
one-
Napoleon, but I didn't like Nacho
You didn't like
Libre.
that. And then
Yeah.
I loved, which it is not for everybody, but I love Gentlemen Broncos. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Gentlemen Broncos. It's incredible and awful at the same time, and I love it.
Gentlemen Bronco.
So yeah, check it out.
That sounds like a strip club, Jonathan. I
It's
don't
not.
trust Googling this.
All right,
Gentlemen
guys.
Broncos.
Question is for you. What did you think about the Minecraft movie? I thought it looked absolutely horrible. There's some other people in this room that thought maybe it looks like it has potential. Maybe you thought it looked really good. Hey, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Some of you will remember the other day that Denzel Washington confirmed that he is going to be appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He didn't specify the role, but he did say what movie it's going to be, and it's going to be a Black Panther movie. We still know who it's going to be. But in that same interview, Denzel, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, for sure, one of the all-time great iconic actors, he also listed off a couple of other movies he's going to be doing, and then he said, then I'm retiring. Well, in the words of Deadpool and Wolverine, till you're 90. Because on top of that list that Denzel gave us, he's now just thrown a few more movies into the list. Because according to him, and this comes to us from Coming Soon, Denzel Washington says he's also doing Equalizer 4 and 5. This is what they said. Speaking to Esquire in a recent interview, Washington revealed that he has spoken with Sony Pictures about doing another movie and that an Equalizer 4 and 5 were in the works as well. I told them I would do another Equalizer, and we're doing 4 and 5, Washington said, before noting that more people are happy about that. People love those doggone Equalizers. But I've come to realize that the Equalizer films are for me too, because they're for the people. They want me to go get bad guys. We can't get them, so you go get them. And I say, okay, I'll get them. Just wait right there. I'll be right back. All right. The Equalizer films that Denzel Washington has done, I believe those are directed by Antoine Fuqua, right? As well.
Yes.
None of them have done exceptionally well at the box office, but they've all done okay. None of them are Oscar contenders, but I would be lying to you if I didn't admit that they're a guilty pleasure of mine. Maybe not even a guilty pleasure. I like the Equalizer movies. There's just something about a very calm Denzel Washington saying, in 30 seconds, I'm going to rip out your throat and shove that shoe up your ass, and then I'm going to tickle your tummy. And then he does it, right?
It's a lot like Batman.
very, very much like Batman. There's something very satisfying to me about the Equalizer movies. And I don't get, you know what? And I was starting to get worried. Like in the last one, I'm thinking, Denzel's getting older now. Are we going to be able to buy him as the hard-ass, badass, can't-be-stopped killing machine?
The experience.
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
That Equalizer 3 convinced me. I'm watching it, like, nothing about it felt unbelievable to me. Because there's something about, even as he ages, he's got a stature about him. He's got a big man stature. and he's got this very menacing face. And so when I saw that movie, and I remember I had those like concerns, those concerns quickly went away. And I got absolutely 100% on board with them. So when I read this, first of all, it makes me wonder, okay, Denzel, you did just give us this hard list. I'm doing this, then I'm retiring. Oh, and I'm also doing this and this. Oh, and I'm talking to Sony about it. Denzel's not retiring. Yeah, let's just throw that out right now. Denzel's not retiring. But I love the idea of him doing an Equalizer 4 and 5. Anyway, Chris, you heard about this. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, you two have the same idea of what the word retire means. Of just like, and then I just keep making things forever, right? Yeah, that's great. I also want to quote Michael Ian Black here. The only guilty pleasure in life is murder. If you love these movies, watch them. They're so fun. They're so great. And he's excellent in them. I am surprised to hear that we'd be getting like 2 more, or 3 more.
Yeah, that was really surprising to hear.
Yeah.
We're going to do 4 and 5.
Yeah. Of just, okay, if you want to keep making these, you guys, let's go. But I figured they'd just green light the next one. But I'm all for this. I think he is so wonderful and brutal in this role. And I think that's the thing that makes it
Very
so believable is he has this calm sensibility in this role that is so unnerving that transcends any age.
Yeah.
Because he still has that fire and that
Right.
menace behind righting the wrongs of what people are doing to the innocent.
Right,
There's this
right.
really great, like, justice must prevail, Batman kind of vibe from him that works really beautifully here.
You mentioned Fire, and where I first got that kind of vibe from him was Man on Fire.
Love that
That-
movie
Which they're
so
remaking
much.
now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We talked about that a few months
I
ago.
don't pay
They're
attention.
doing that.
I just sit
He's
here.
just run the 1s and 2s, That's,
I think everybody likes to see the bully get his sometimes,
Well, that's the secret behind Reacher, right?
Right.
People just viscerally like to see a big good guy go up and beat the living crap out of a bad guy.
mm-hmm.
And that's what Denzel kind of delivers too, right? But here's the interesting thing. Ray, double check this for me on his age. I think Denzel's now 70.
He's
I
gonna
think
be
he's
70.
70.
Yeah.
He's 70.
Yeah, okay.
How old will he be when an Equalizer 5 comes out? I get minimum 75.
Unless they film them back to back.
Do you think he's passing it down to his son in the 5th one?
I doubt it. There's been no indication at all. But I mean, I think John David's trying to
Yeah, but
forge
still.
his own path,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And I respect that. He's not trying to ride on daddy's coattails. He's trying to do his own thing. And he's a really good actor
He's
in
a
his own right.
fabulous actor.
Yeah, he's great.
But I mean, but it also makes me rethink a little bit because listen, I had my doubts about a 68-year-old Denzel doing another Equalizer, and he kicked all kinds of ass in that. I can't remember how old Michael Keaton was when he did The Protege with Maggie Q, but he kicked all kinds of ass in that. Ray, you'll like this. It's starting to make me reconsider my thoughts on Mahershala Ali getting too old at this point to play Blade because he hasn't even started yet. But like, if he can do it like Denzel till he's 70, he can do a Blade movie in 3 years and still do 15 years of Blade. If he can still do it. So I know, but very, very few people are Denzel Washington. Let's not
That's
pretend
true.
since Denzel
Actually,
does
one.
it, everybody can.
There's only one. Yeah.
He's
Michael
the
Keaton
only
was
one.
69 when he made The Protege.
Oh,
That's how
boy.
old Michael Keaton was.
Yeah.
And
There you go, bud.
how good did he come across in that movie?
Oh,
He came across as great. I had my doubts
it
if
was
he
a
came
great
across.
film, and his chemistry with Maggie Q was insane and confusing, honestly.
And you know what? I still thought
I was
he
like, why am I into this? What is happening?
And I still thought he kicked all kinds of ass in Flash. I really did. Like, I still bought him as Batman, and
He was
he
my
was
favorite
probably
part.
70, 71 at that point. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Denzel now letting us be known that he's going to do not only another Equalizer, but a 5th Equalizer as well? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? One of the most interesting phenomena to ever happen to a television show ever was Suits. I mean, Suits, I believe, was on the USA Network
Yeah.
when it first came out, and it had a modest little following. And then it went off air after 7 seasons, I want to say. Went off air with very little fanfare. And then 4 years later, 5 years. I can't even remember how many years later. It pops up on, I think, Peacock and Netflix.
Right.
And not by a small margin. It becomes the global phenomenon. Like, it was lapping other shows as the most viewed show in the world. And stayed on top of that chart, like, for months. And it's all of a sudden found this brand new life. Now, one of the big reasons for that is actor Gabriel. I've only ever read his last name a million times. I've never actually heard anybody say it, but I'm going to pronounce it Matched.
I think it's either Mott, like yacht, or mocked.
I like the, it sounds like yacht.
Yeah, mocked.
Mocked, or whatever.
Because it's spelled like yacht.
Yeah.
Sure. But Gabriel, as Harvey Specter, I always want to say Harvey Dent. I don't know,
Yeah, me
lawyers. As Harvey Specter, probably my favorite TV lawyer. I love Suits. I fell in love with it. I binged all 7 seasons in about a month. I absolutely fell in love with it, and I liked it. Now, of course, there is because of the popularity of the show finding a second life on streaming, they're doing a revival series called Suits LA that is not with the original cast, but exists in the same world. But instead of in New York, it's going to be in Los Angeles, and this time around, Green Arrow, Stephen Amell, is going to be leading the cast. Cool. Well, sounds like we're getting that crossover. Because according to reports coming out right now, Gabriel is coming back to Suits, and it's pretty cool. This comes from Cinema Blender Rights. The upcoming Suits LA is finally taking shape, and the show is set to arrive mid-season during the 2025 TV schedule. Various questions have swirled around the Stephen Amell-led legal drama. Among those queries is whether or not any of the main characters from the OG show might pop in. Well, we now know that at least one familiar face is in the mix. Gabriel Mocked is reprising his fan favorite role as Harvey Specter. With that, Mock celebrated the news in the most Specter way possible. By the way, this is what he put up on his Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Putting on his Harvey Specter shirt with the cufflinks. Anyway, longtime fans will surely be delighted to hear that the veteran actor's role on Suits offshoot won't be a one-off. According to Deadline, he will appear in a recurring role, with his Harvey character appearing on 3 episodes of the NBC show in the first season. Specific details on Specter's exact role within the narrative have yet to be divulged. At the very least, it seems the character's sense of style will remain unchanged. That's the idea one gets from the video that he put on his Instagram. Anyway, I think this is an absolute no-brainer. If you want to call it Suits, great. If you don't pepper in a little bit of the original series, though, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality of this. And I'm not saying any legal drama you put on TV has to have Suits characters, but if you're going to call it Suits, even if you call it Suits LA, and then tell people it exists in the same universe, great. You've got to have a peppering these characters. And I think even beyond that, you've got to have one of the 2 main guys. You've got to have Harvey or Mike show up, ideally both. And for them to do this and not just make it a one quick cameo, but rather probably a 3-episode arc, or at least 3 episodes. It's probably going to be like 12 episodes, whatever. Who knows? We'll see. But I think this is a very bright move. And it makes me wonder, Chris, if they're going to use the spin-off series as a platform to relaunch the original as well. Like, if they might, okay, we got the spin-off series Suits LA, reintroduce all the original characters. And oh, by the way, Suits season 8 is coming as well. So you're going to have, you have Law and Order,
SVU.
Closet Crime, Law and Order SVU, Law and Order this, Law and Order that.
Crime?
Lots of Law and
No.
Orders, right? So then we'll have the Suits universe. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think about this? Because I've read some people saying bringing Gabriel back. I've read some people say it's reeks of desperation, but I don't know. How do you see this?
I disagree with that, because when we first talked about this getting a revival, I remember just being so weirded out by, it's a revival without the cast? I don't get that. That's not a
Right.
revival then. This is some kind of reboot, remake, spin-off. That's a different thing. So it makes sense to me to have him in the mix here, because then it truly is, like you were saying, a Suits show. You have to have some of these characters come back, because I do think that's a big reason why this legal drama did well that second kind of time around on streaming, is people fell in love with these characters specifically.
Yeah.
There's so many procedurals out there, and don't get me wrong, we love when there's a procedural in Los Angeles. Oh my gosh, that means actors are getting work constantly because they have new co-stars and guest stars because of all the different plaintiffs and everything you got to have in there. But really, Suits, you really enjoyed these guys and their dynamic. And so I think you need to bring that into the mix. Obviously, you can have some new blood in there. Stephen Amell is wonderful at what he does, but I think bringing back Specter is such a good move for the show as a whole.
And you mentioned we love it when they do things in LA. So we were watching the new episode of, you'll like this, Ray. We were watching the new episode of Shrinking, which, by the way, guys, everyday message, watch Shrinking.
It's
Why
so
are you
good.
not watching Shrinking? Watch Shrinking. Anyway, there are two girl characters and they just got in trouble. And the one says to the other one, did your mom freak out? She goes, no, my mom was too busy. She got thrown out of Casino Morongo last night. And of course, Anne started laughing her ass off at that because we like when they make local references.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Is this a good move to bring in Harvey and maybe other characters from the original series? Or do you think like some other people that it reeks of desperation? Whatever you guys feel about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we still got to talk about the fact that Moana, the live action version, has just started shooting. But we got to ask, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's presence in it actually going to hurt the film now? Whoever thought we'd have to ask that? Also, Kevin Feige has made it official that the next upcoming couple of MCU movies we're about to go see are going to start introducing X-Men characters in them. We're going to talk about that and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Mando and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Thank goodness it is football season. It's time for tailgates, touchdowns, and Sunday cookouts with the crew. But unfortunately, along with the drinks and the food, sometimes you also bring along your odor. And that is why Mando whole body deodorant should be an absolute tailgate game day essential. And that's why Mando's the MVP. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code CAMPEA. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code CAMPEA. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code CAMPEA and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code CAMPEA at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/campea and use the code CAMPEA to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Mando and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? we've talked a lot over the last year or so about the incredible phenom that happened with Moana, a 6 or 7 year old movie, became the #1 streaming movie of the year last year in 2023. No other movie was streamed as much as Moana. That's crazy. And again, kind of like Suits, the margin wasn't even that close, kind of by a mile. So, no big surprise. We've got Moana 2 coming out next week. Very excited to see it, even though they haven't lifted the review embargo of it yet. That could be a red flag, but we'll find out. But also, lest we forget, in all the hoopla about the Moana 2 coming out next week, they are making a live action version of the original Moana movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Maui. By the way, I love that character and I love the voice of Dwayne Johnson doing it. Well, they have actually started shooting the movie. And Disney Studios co-chair Alan Bergman got on his social media and posted this picture of him on set with Maui's iconic giant bone fishhook. I gotta say, that looks pretty awesome. It's probably made out of styrofoam. It's probably super light and everything, but that looks great. The raft looks amazing behind him. The beach, the scenery, all looks great. So the movie is, I mean, it's real. It's as real gets now because they're actually on set and they're shooting the movie. At least they will be once Dwayne shows up, because apparently he's about 18 hours late already. But anyway, that's why we're able to take this picture. Just waiting around for Dwayne to show up. Here we'll take some pictures while waiting for Dwayne to arrive.
He's still in Texas.
It's great. Listen, unless anybody think I'm a hater, I love Dwayne. Let's set the record straight. I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I do. So I play and I kid.
I mean, the best part about this is you won't even need any bottles.
Hey, man, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Sometimes it's in the ocean.
Sometimes it's the ocean. So the movie starts shooting, and that's great. It's going to be really interesting to see what it looks like. You know why I'm more interested in it now? Because I just saw the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon yesterday, right? Like, looking at that, I went, it's such a familiar yet new experience seeing this live action. And it's kind of made me even more, I got to admit, the trailer for a different movie has made me even more intrigued to see this Moana thing. So we'll see. But we are hot on the heels of arguably the biggest flop of the year, right up there with Borderlands and a couple of others, with Red One, a $250 million movie that made $32 million in its opening weekend.
A level 4 naughty lister?
With Chris Evans,
Hell yeah.
J.K. Simmons, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now look, gone are the days that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was franchise Viagra, right? Those days have come and gone. I would argue he was the last legitimate one. There's not many actors out there, and maybe even to a degree you can still say this about Dwayne Johnson. There's not many actors out there that you can say that put them in a movie, guaranteed it will make more money than it would have without them.
Absolutely.
Now, it used to be with Dwayne Johnson, put him in a movie, guaranteed it'll make a ton of money. You can't say that anymore, but you could at least still say, well, put Dwayne in it and it'll make more money than it would have without him. But with all the bad press he's been getting, the bad PR, the questionable results, I mean, let's face it, the stench of Black Adam is still hanging around. And for the record, I liked that movie.
Yeah.
I think it was great,
okay.
but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it, even though I thought it should have been better. Yeah. I still liked it, but the stench of the failure of that movie, a movie that they built up for 15 years, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe about to change and blah, blah, blah. And it $400 million, not even $400 million. And then, it's kind of been this stutter step ever since. And then Red One comes out and it just falls flat on its face. So the question, and I hate asking it as a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan, when they first announced Moana 2 and they said Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself was going to be playing Maui, a lot of us thought, well, yeah, of course, because that's going to really... But is it? But do we now instead have to ask the opposite question? Is Dwayne's presence in the movie actually going to be something that hurts the movie? And that seems like crazy talk. Like, you go back just a couple of years ago, even asking that question seems certifiably insane to ask. But with just the reality of where Dwayne's career is right now, not that he can't turn it around, not that he can't be an even bigger star than he ever was 3 or 4 years from now. I'm talking today, especially coming hot off the heels of Red One. Is Dwayne The Rock Johnson being in this movie maybe something that Disney could unthinkably downplay as they market the movie and they make it? Maybe they don't go out of their way to highlight Dwayne The Rock Johnson stars in blah. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not really sure at this point. But anyway, Chris, there are two different stories here. One, they've actually started shooting live action Moana, and I love the look of the hook. I love everything that I'm seeing there. But it does kind of bring up the question, like, is Dwayne's presence in it actually going to be something that hurts this project right now? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't feel like it's going to hurt it. I just don't think it's going to give the automatic boost we expected several years ago. And
Right.
there have been a few images leaked too of him filming in his whole full Maui getup, and he looks phenomenal. I don't know who else you could have play this role, honestly, because he is such a big, towering presence.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to work out really nicely. I'm hoping, honestly, that this is kind of the like rinse that he needs to get his career back to where it was. I'm really hoping that this just gets him back to being that like household name that we could expect. Hey, this is going to be a fun movie. We're going to have a good time here. I know that a lot of times he's playing the same part over and over again, but he needs to do it in better vehicles, right? And we saw him try to kind of stray from that with Black Adam. It didn't pan out for him. I really just want him to have a win. I like him. I think he's a good guy and a typically smart businessman. I'd like to have this movie do well. And my household is the reason why that movie, got so many streaming hits. So I know Logan's going to go see this
There
live
you
action
go.
version like 1,000 times.
Okay, a couple things on it is that, one, I think executives started putting their eyes on him after not just how Black Adam performed, but the drama that surrounded that.
Yeah.
And the executive decisions that then followed. My eyes started to see cracks in it after Jungle Cruise. That's when I started to feel like maybe he's not a guarantee for every movie.
Yeah.
But how did Jungle Cruise do? It didn't do bad, did it?
It didn't do bad, but
But it didn't do great.
yeah.
That movie was way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
To
He and
be
Emily
honest.
Blunt have great chemistry.
Yeah, him and
Oh my
Emily
gosh.
Blunt do have wonderful
She has
chemistry
great chemistry
together.
with pretty much every
Yeah,
person.
'cause
I
she's
think she
that
has chemistry
talented.
with Dirt, probably.
Yeah.
But
220.
okay.
And for that budget, my concern is just that budget. So for I guess that reportedly for his voice for Moana, the first animated film, he was paid like $21 million
Which is like so
for voice acting.
outrageously
You should get into
stupid.
voice acting. Now that's a lucrative business.
I was just about to say, that is not a number that us journeyman voice actors ever get.
So coming off of the $50 million paycheck for Red One, that scares me for the live action. It's not so much, in my opinion, that he detracts from a film or he pulls money from a film, but he does in a sense if the budget is so lean or so scaled towards his favor.
Yeah.
That if he's getting 50, 60 million for this live action Moana, that could injure the film.
Sure.
Well,
So
I mean, to that point, I have a friend who's a filmmaker that worked on a film with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And they said because of how much they paid Dwayne Johnson, it ruined everything else in the movie. He said it just handcuffed them for everything else they did in the movie. Now, that's not Dwayne's fault, per se, that happened. But, I wanted to go back to the whole thing about when you say and bring up the whole idea about what he brings to it. Because, like, say, they gave him $20 million for doing Moana. The voice in Moana, which is absolutely, I mean, to use religious terminology, it is a sin.
That's
Somebody should burn in hell for giving him that money.
bananas.
But I will say this. When you give Dwayne Johnson that kind of money, unlike, say, historically, a guy like Tommy Lee Jones or a guy like Johnny Depp or or even a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio, Dwayne The Rock, when you put Dwayne Johnson in one of your movies, he will not sleep because he will spend 24 hours a day doing nothing but promoting that movie. And like with Moana, like with every movie he does, do you see any other actor promote their movies they're in the way Dwayne Johnson promotes the movies he's in? Because like when Moana was coming out, all you saw anywhere all the time was Dwayne Johnson telling people, go see Moana, go see Moana, go see Moana, like everything. And that's the one thing I'll give him. Like I just read this article this morning too about how bad Red One flopped. But it said like literally for the last 3 weeks, Dwayne Johnson's just been on the road actually in person, going to movie theaters, doing advanced screenings for fans and surprising fans.
That's
and all
the thing
things,
too,
right?
is he's not just doing like the paid, like, oh, we'll go and do junkets. I mean, he's doing his own like viral
he will
video
bust his
stuff.
ass to go out and promote your film.
Yeah.
And what else were we just talking about? Oh yeah, the thing is about to what you were saying, Chris. There were some people say, well, Dwayne Johnson's just always Dwayne. You want to know why Dwayne Johnson's always Dwayne? Because he tried to do other stuff, did it well, and nobody wanted to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
You see him in Snitch?
Yeah.
He was really good in that. Did you see him in Faster? He was really good in that. Like, he's done these roles that are very, very different for him, and he's done them quite well. What was that one he did with Mark Wahlberg and Anthony Mackie with the bodybuilder?
Oh,
Pain and
yeah.
Pain and Gain.
yeah.
He was actually really quite good in Pain and Gain. But like, he's done all these movies where he's done completely different characters and nobody was interested. People wanted to see The Rock. And so he gives the people what they want to see. But I mean, he's had some PR nightmares lately, self-inflicted. And now can he turn that around? And listen, full disclosure, like, I have gotten together with Dwayne Johnson. I actually had drinks in his hotel room with me, Dwayne Johnson, and a couple of other guys in Vegas. He is in person as fucking charming as you think he is in real life. Like, in real life, he is so charming, so kind, so nice. I can't help but cheer for him whenever I do, but man, when you have a career as big as his, you got to manage it better. And it's now that it's at a point that you're wondering, is being in Moana going to help Moana? And I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They have actually started shooting the live action Moana, and I, for one, am actually really interested in it. The hell, the How to Train Your Dragon trailer has made me even more interested in this Moana movie. How do you feel about it? And also the bigger question, it seems inconceivable, but do you think Dwayne being in the movie might actually be a hindrance to the movie at this point? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this. God, it's got to be what? 7 years since Disney bought Fox?
Yep.
It's getting up there. But the moment that Disney bought Fox, every Marvel fan started proclaiming that the next Marvel movie was going to have all the X-Men in it.
This is gonna be the one to do it. This one. This is the one.
This is the one that's going to. No, now this is the one that's going to. Despite the fact that right off the bat, Kevin Feige said when they bought them, "Hey, we've got the next 5 years planned out. Then we'll start bringing in X-Men." Didn't stop all the fans. That every single time a new Marvel movie is coming out, this is the one where X-Men are going to show up. And of course, the big famous one when we saw the trailer for Infinity War and we saw Thanos with the 3 scars on his face, everybody said, that's Wolverine. Wolverine's going to be in Infinity War. And of course he wasn't. We have been getting little tastes now since those 5 years have come and gone. We have been getting little tastes. But now Kevin Feige is saying, get ready to start meeting the X-Men characters sooner than you thought, because we're going to start meeting them in the movies that are coming out. This comes to us from the folks over at comicbook.com that said this. Feige talked about the coming developments on the X-Men side of things, saying, this is what Kevin Feige said, I think you will see that continues in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. Right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into a new age of mutants and the X-Men. Again, it's one of those dreams come true. We finally have the X-Men back. Now, a lot of people are going to want to focus on that part talking about after Secret Wars, we're going to have this new age of mutants. That's big. That's big. I'm not saying it's not. But for our immediate concern, because that's years away still, the immediate concerns is that first part where he says, I think you will see that continues in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. What do we got coming up? We've got Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Or Captain America 4.
Sorry, with the character from Falcon. Yes, we got Captain America, Brave New World. We've got Thunderbolts, and we got Fantastic Four.
Right.
Fantastic Four a little bit. By the way, Fantastic Four finishes production this week.
Wow.
Woo! That's how far along that is. They finished production this week. Anyway, so Captain America and Thunderbolts. It sounds like Kevin Feige is letting us know you're going to start meeting some X-Men characters. And if that is true, he's doing a damn good job of hiding that that's the case. I mean, other than the announcement. So let's speculate here a little bit. What are some X-Men characters we could theoretically and conceivably see pop up in Captain America and Thunderbolts? The first name that comes to mind for me that might seem to make sense is Hank McCoy, aka Beast.
Yeah.
For two different reasons. He's a wonderful character that can have a foot in both worlds, right?
Right.
And they've already introduced us to him at the end of the Marvels, even though that's another world's version of him. So that's one possibility. Maybe getting introduced to Charles Xavier, even just in a scene without going into anything. Just like, this is Charles Xavier of this world.
Right. And
that seems possible.
Not the Patrick Stewart, which we've seen in a different world from Multiverse, but you mean it.
Right. The new version.
Going forward.
Yep. The new version. Again, not as a major player in the movie, just meet them to kind of lay the groundwork for what might come. Now, another name that comes up, because we've already seen her pop up in another Marvel trailer, Storm. Remember, Storm is in the What If Season 3 trailer.
Yeah.
The animated version, granted, but still, I mean, that leaves out a possibility. Here's the one problem, though. The problem that they're going to have, and that I'm sure Kevin Feige has thought about this and has a workaround, I just haven't thought about what it could be, is they still have not given any explanation to how mutants are even here yet. Because why has there been no mention of mutants in the last 20 years of the MCU? Right? If you understand the mythology of mutants, like, kids manifest their mutation once in their early teens, and that ain't something you can hide. So, like, where has been any discussion of mutants or whatever? Now, again, you can ask the same question about Blade. Where has there been any discussion about vampires?
Like,
they're there.
for the execs or even in the films.
Yeah. Or where's been any discussion about witches?
Right.
Yeah, like Agatha shows that witches have been around this whole time.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've even seen, like, Werewolf by Night. So there's a supernatural because you have, like, the
Man
people.
Thing and all that. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So, but anyway, those are some of the names I can think of. It'd also be interesting to see if they can come up with ways to kind of also explain how and why mutants are. Maybe they just drop a quick reference in Captain America: Brave New World in the president's office. Maybe Anthony Mackie comes walking in and the president's talking to somebody, and we just hear, President Harrison Ford talking to somebody and saying, and just finishing off a conversation.
Yeah.
Just finishing off a conversation as Sam Wilson comes walking in the office. I just don't want it to become a mutant problem.
Right.
And then, okay, Sam, you're here. Thanks. And then they start talking about something else, right? And maybe just with a little line like that, they establish, so mutants have been around the whole time. I don't know. We'll see how they do it. Anyway, Chris, what do you think of Kevin Feige's statements? Do you think we're going to get recognizable X-Men characters in Thunderbolts, in Brave New World? And if so, do you have any theories about who they might be?
I feel like if we have them show up, it's going to be more of we see their power, not get told their name. So that then the audience has the pop of like, an aide named Catherine suddenly phases through a wall. Oh my gosh, that's
It's
Kitty
Kitty Pryde.
Holy shit. Right? I feel like we'd kind of lean more into that area to just kind of test those waters. Or it'd be something where they do what they've done in the past if something is on the news of like the Charles Xavier School, we go to something else, or we hear something about Krakoa, that kind of thing. The whole idea with
Krakoa, that's you're throwing in some advanced stuff like early.
I think the way they do it, we've talked about this briefly.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What if Tiamat coming out of the ocean becomes Krakoa?
Yep.
Okay, that's probably totally wild.
So,
Anyway,
we could do something like that. The snap also can have influence on rearranging people's molecules. So a whole bunch of people who were snapped, maybe when they came back, it expedited the mutant gene.
Because it did release like a big radiation, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can have that kind of comic booky event that makes everyone's DNA shift forward. That way you can still have mutants existing. It's just now there is a huge surplus of them because of that snap and its ramifications. When you talk about Hank McCoy, are you talking about the one we saw as the Easter egg in the other universe, or are you talking about our universe's Hank McCoy?
Well, I mean, Hank McCoy, we have seen him, but that was another universe's version of him. So it would be a Hank McCoy in our universe. Yes.
A Hank McCoy for all. I really like that one. I like how the chat too keeps bringing up, like, I know he's not a mutant. Senator Kelly, I think, is a really great X-Men character.
That would be a nice segue character to bring in.
There.
William Stryker.
Stryker would be amazing. Some Weapon X kind of information could be really, really cool to have in there. But I think you guys are right. I think ultimately Storm is the one that makes the most sense, just because we've seen her in What If trailers. We already know that she's kind of coming into the fold for the MCU proper.
Do you think she comes out of Wakanda?
No. No.
Because I was just thinking the Black Panther ties, but
yeah.
Brandon Coast in the live chat is saying, I think Deadpool 3 showed us that there is awareness of mutants not in the sacred timeline. Remember, the awareness of mutants were from other timelines. Deadpool himself is not from the sacred timeline. He's from Earth 199999. So it didn't really do that.
Yeah, and even like, well, I was just gonna say, even like in Miss Marvel, you know, her friend was like, "You're like a mutation."
I was about to say, now the thing is, they have kind of brought it up in Ms. Marvel, which, by the way, if there's any of you who still haven't watched Ms. Marvel, you absolutely should. It's one of the best things Marvel has made on the Disney Plus side of things. But anyway, that great little scene was like, it's like you've got a mutation, and then in the background you hear the old X-Men animated music.
I love
It's
that
like,
moment
which
so
was
much.
such a great scene.
It's so good. And the big one though is Kevin Feige is obsessed with Dazzler, y'all. Kevin Feige loves Dazzler so much. That is his favorite X-Men.
I really thought we were going to get a Dazzler in Deadpool and Wolverine.
I genuinely did. I thought Taylor Swift was going to be Dazzler, and I'm still kind of mad about it, if I'm going to be honest. What are we even doing? Why is she even friends with Ryan Reynolds?
What a waste of a friendship.
Give me the things I want, Taylor Swift.
Out of your guys' friendship.
But now let's get to the base question though here. Like Kevin Feige says, in the next few films we're going to start meeting. Do we take that to mean? Because I'll tell you right now, I do. Even though I might be wrong. Do we take that to mean him? Did Kevin Feige just tell us we're going to see recognizable X-Men characters in Captain America and Thunderbolts? Do you take it as that?
I don't know if we're going to
into it too much.
I feel like there's a danger here because now we're going to be like, he said, and if it's not in Thunderbolts, it's like whatever. I feel like it's more likely to be in Brave New World than Thunderbolts.
Well, that does come first. Wait a second. What comes first?
You're right. Brave New World. So February,
first, right?
Yeah, I got those two switched. So yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they shake this out. I think it's exciting because now, listen, for 7 years, we've had to deal with people writing, this is the movie that X-Men are going to show up. No, it's not. This is Mephisto. But you know what? We are here now. Kevin Feige just said we're here. Oh, Chris, you got that look on your face.
Oh, sorry. I just want to address something in the chat because someone said Daredevil ? So Daredevil is a mutate. He is not a mutant. So there was something that caused a catalyst to give him powers. The green goo, same as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Much like Captain America is
exactly.
Is a
He's
mutate.
a mutate.
Yeah.
They're not mutants because it's a DNA thing. So that's
you
the difference between the two.
Mutants, mutates, or what was the other one? How they get their powers? Oh, gamma rays. Yeah.
But even the gamma rays is an external force causing your superpowers to change. You are a mutate. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige is just dropping very subtle bombs here, saying we're going to start seeing some recognizable X-Men characters in the next couple of films. I take that as face value, as talking about the new Captain America and possibly Thunderbolts. Do you interpret it as that? Maybe you think, no, he's just talking like later down the line. I don't know. What do you think? If you do believe that we're about to meet some recognizable X-Men characters, which ones do you think it's going to be? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank a couple of more sponsors for today's episode, our friends at Tile and Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband, so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. And thank you to the good folks at Tile and Public Rec for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff here, shall we? Your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Andy Newton says, Deadpool and Madam Web. Let's effing go.
That's a double feature to do for the ages. Absolutely.
Yep.
I would just highly suggest watching Madam Web first and then end strong. that's all I'll say. All right, what's next?
Andy Newton says, which one happens first? Kennedy out from Star Wars, Blade, Shang-Chi 2, or the return of trench coats? Well,
That's up to Ray.
Shang-Chi 2, probably.
Shang-Chi 2.
Shang-Chi 2, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Blade is never coming around.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with Blade, guy. But then again, I've been waiting forever for Shang-Chi 2. I mean, we keep, like, Simu Liu said like 6 months ago, you're going to hear something soon about Shang-Chi 2. Well, that was like 6 months ago, dude. I mean, come on. Bring it on. It's one of the better movies they've done in the past like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So
And one of the cooler powers too. I want to see those rings in action.
the way they do the rings were so great.
Absolutely.
And I really want to see what they got next. All right, what's next?
Alex Pitt says, the biggest red flag for Moana 2 is that it was supposed to be a Disney Plus series. Then Moana was the highest streamed film last year, so they retooled it for a theatrical release. I hope it's good, but that doesn't fill me with confidence.
Same thing happened to Toy Story 2. Look how that turned out.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 was developed as a straight-to-home video movie. And then when they were getting through it, they're like, you know what, this is pretty good. Maybe we should release it as a movie. And they did, and it's one of the few wide release movies of all time to hold a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. At least it did for years. I don't know if maybe somebody went in there and review bombed it and brought it down off the 100%. But yeah, listen, if at some point they look at something, look, you're always going to make it as good as you can make it. And then if you think, you know what, this is actually pretty solid, let's retool it and go back and reshuffle it. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, That doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it also doesn't mean it's not going to be good. And the precedent for that, of course, again, is Toy Story 2. So we'll see. We'll see. To me, the red flag is that as of right now, the review embargo is the day the movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the red flag. Now, that might mean nothing if social media reactions are allowed to come out early. As long as they do that, everything's fine. But to me, the red flag is the review embargo. All right, what's next?
Jedi Master Super Mario says, "Hey, John and crew, I'm in the minority, but I was interested in seeing Wicked until I found out it was a part 1 of 2. Now I'll wait until both parts have released and watch both back to back on whatever streaming service it's on." Why don't you stream the first one, and then if you like it, go see the second one in theaters?
I don't understand that mentality.
I don't either. It's like, oh, there's going to be 2.
I mean,
I'll just stream
don't
both.
get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away your right to have that mentality. That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying, for me personally, as a film fan, I don't understand that mentality. A good movie's a good movie. Like when Lord of the Rings was coming out, I just won't go see Fellowship of the Ring until after Return of the King comes out. I don't understand that. Like, we go to see good movies to see good movies. If this, I mean, granted, it's part 1, but so is Star Wars. So was The Godfather. So was Lord of the Rings. So, you know, I don't really understand that. A good movie's a good movie. If you're going to go to a movie and have a good positive experience and be entertained, then the fact that there's going to be another one that comes after it, I don't see why that's a deterrent. That being said, I'm not taking away from the fact that you do feel that way. And by the way, the very fact that people like you are there and that you do feel that way is probably the very reason they're not calling this Wicked Part 1. They're just calling it Wicked, and then they'll put out Wicked Part 2. Just like they put out Dune. They didn't call Dune Part 1. They just called it Dune, then they called it Dune 2. Or they didn't call Godfather Part 1. They just called it Godfather, and then they did a second one. So, yeah, I just don't really see the logic of that. But that, again, that's just me. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's not valid. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, Deadline addressed Dwayne Johnson's recent lackluster return on investment and said that most studios are unlikely to produce his tent poles going forward unless they're safe bet, established properties, and or the price tags come down significantly.
I mean, yeah, and look, and that's the changing tide of things, right? They're going to be, like, forget that Dwayne Johnson's a person for a second. You have a product. And there are going to be times that that thing is worth more, and there are going to be times when that thing is worth less. And you have to respond accordingly. Having Dwayne Johnson in your movie at some times and in certain circumstances is going to be worth a lot more to you. And then there's going to be eras and times when it's going to be worth less to you. And so it's not surprising to hear them say that. But look, again, if Dwayne Johnson suddenly makes, let's say the live action Moana movie makes $1.2 billion. They're going to be paying him $30 million a film again. They just will. But until that happens, they're going to pay him more appropriately. So we'll see how that all kind of works out. All right, what's next?
The Borb says, "Hey, y'all, someone recommended The Shadow Strays, saying it's a spiritual successor to the Raid movies. The Raid 2 is my favorite movie ever, so I had to check it out. While it pays homage to them, it doesn't compare to those art house masterpieces. Bring on the filthy."
Again, friend of mine is a producer of the Raid movies. A guy who used to work with me, a guy who went to Bible college with me, is a producer of the Raid movies.
Or as Robert calls them, the Rad.
The Rad and Rad 2, the Raddening. But so, yeah, I've not heard of that show before. I probably will check it out out of curiosity, since some people are making comparisons to the Raid, though, because that's a pretty good comparison. All right, what's next?
Nora says, "Hi, John and crew from Czech Republic.
Hey.
You have been part of my daily routine since WandaVision days, so I'm grateful for that. Just want to say, of all great shows you recommended to me, Shrinking, see, it's working, John, is the best last episode. Oh, my God. Love you. Bring on the filthy."
Oh, it's so good.
Such a good show.
Shrinking is so good. Like, every single episode is just always brings out something that's just so remarkable and beautiful and touching and hilarious. Did you see the newest episode?
No, I was catching up on Bad Sisters instead. I've got to watch the new one today.
The neighbor, Liz.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where, you know, the bench that Harrison Ford sits on with
With the daughter?
Yeah, what's her name? Alice?
Alice.
No. Is that their daughter's name, Alice? Well, there's a scene where he's sitting on that bench with Liz, and it's amazing. It's so
good.
oh, it's such a good. I'm glad you're watching it. Thank you for watching it because I hope it won't be, but I hope it's a show that's around for like 5 seasons. Probably won't be, but I really hope it does.
Love it.
All right, what's next?
Christian with 2A says, "G'day." No, I reckon it is g'day. I just happened to come across the new Minecraft trailer. Have you seen it? If not, watch it, and can you please review it tomorrow? Well, yeah, we. I don't think it would be still any good, but it does touch more on the story, etc. And what does Ray think? I think he's sort of in.
We did talk about it. I think it's trash. I think it looks like trash. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing about like. See, here's the thing. I don't play. What's the game Arcane is based on again? League of Legends. I don't play League of Legends. But I don't need to play League of Legends to see that Arcane is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. If you need to know the game in order to, and you're making a movie, you got to be able to make the movie stand on its own. And I'm sorry, I just look at it and see trash. Now, there are other people in this room that saw more potential in it than I did. And I hope those people are right. Because listen, I thought Harley Quinn looked like trash and I ended up loving it. So maybe that'll happen with Minecraft. It'll just really surprise me if it does. All right, what's next?
Eddie Burton says, was floored by how much fun I had watching Red One. Nothing new or special, just a fun old school holiday action comedy. Never thought I'd live in a universe where I said Red One was more enjoyable than Madam Web, Venom 3, or Joker 2. But here we are.
I mean, yeah, if you'd asked me that question 3 weeks ago, I would say you'd have to be pretty damn bad to not be as good as those. But if you had said a year ago, yeah, I still have not seen Red One. I'm going to take a pass on it.
Oh,
I'm not. You
know what? I actually thought the movie was day and date, but it's not.
No, it's not. No.
So
now you got to wait.
I might have to go to the theater to watch this.
Oh, well, use your A-list.
I'm still down. I mean,
Amazon will put it on Amazon soon enough. And the fact that it played in theaters means it's going to have a much bigger debut on Amazon now than it would have if it went straight to Amazon.
But in time for Christmas? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what? I bet it will be on Amazon in time for Christmas.
Oh, that's not a bet I'm willing to take.
I think
I got to see it now.
I think you use your A-list for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Remember, you got A-list.
Just walk right in, man.
No other way. There's no other way to do it.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, what's your opinion on Goonies? I'm only asking because Rob said on his Twitter he hates it, and I don't understand how anyone can hate that movie.
I also don't understand how anybody can hate that movie.
I think it's charming. I think I think it's quintessential 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rob, when he saw it, he was at an age where he was becoming a critic of film. And it was like, well, this is a silly child's like thing. It's kind of stupid, just a bunch of screaming and poor choices. But
movies are just subjective. It just
and
hit
that
him
could be
differently
it.
than it hit.
But
like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, for me though, like, I mean, there's a couple movies that Rob really hates that I'm like, how on earth? Like Goonies,
Hook.
Robin Williams' Hook, which
That's
I
the one.
love, Bangarang. But I mean, that's the
See.
subjectivity of film. Everybody hits it. Listen, everybody watching this video right now has a movie that everyone loves that you don't. Everybody has those. Everybody does. So I don't know why we act all shocked and surprised when we find out you have a movie that everybody loves that you don't like. Well, everybody does. We all do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I personally love the Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right.
It's one of the few fights Rob and I have had.
yeah.
And cannot wait for Skeleton Crew because it reminds me of it.
Yes.
Skeleton
Little
Crew
bit.
looks so good.
I'm so excited.
By the way, did you see the director's roundtable video they put out with that?
No.
So good.
Was a Hollywood
Okay.
Reporter
So
there?
no, it was Disney put it out.
Oh,
They did
okay.
with like a bunch of the directors of the episode. Did you know that Daniels from the Oscar-winning directors for Everything Everywhere, they directed one of the episodes of this as
Sweet.
well.
Excellent.
And
I'm
of
so
course,
excited.
the main showrunner of it is John Watts, the guy who directed the 3 Spider-Man movies. And Bryce Dallas Howard had directed a couple of the episodes in
Thank
it,
goodness.
who's
And
done
this
a great job.
And this is it for a while, right? Until we get the Mandalorian movie or Andor season 2. This is it.
Andor season 2 will be next up.
This is it for Star Wars, though, in the near
Well, when does
future.
Andor season 2 come out? We said
Oh,
summer,
no, it's
right?
coming up pretty close. Yeah, this year.
Yes.
But
I mean,
then there's
this coming
nothing.
year.
Yeah, as far as I know, nothing
Star
else.
Wars content. So
Yeah.
That's up to
I-
Kathleen.
they
You
need
go
a-
talk to her.
They need a hit on this one, I think. It looks really good.
I think it looks great, so
Looks
hopefully it
adorable,
will
and
be.
if anything happens to Neil, I'll burn the world down.
Oh, is that the little elephant kid?
Yeah.
Little elephant.
I love
Neil.
him.
Neil.
Little elephant.
All right, what's next?
Spencer West with a two-parter says, I recently watched a couple classic westerns directed by Sam Peckinpah, The Wild Bunch and Pat Garrett and Billy
I
the
love
Kid.
the Wild Bunch.
And Pat Garrett and the Billy the Kid, it was not received that well. Bob Dylan's actually in that movie, but I like it. I couldn't help but notice that the game Red Dead Redemption feels like an adaptation of these specifically. It is, and Once Upon a Time in the West, and the spaghetti westerns. I know there has been buzz about a Red Dead Redemption film, but I feel like it would ring hollow when the game itself is an adaptation of the pop consciousness of the genre in 2010. More young people would watch The Wild Bunch.
I mean, so many films, though, are like an homage to other films and everything. I mean, I don't like it, but you all, for the most part, who watch the show, really love the Joker. And that is a love letter to things like Taxi Driver and Martin Scorsese's work.
Yeah.
You know?
King Comedy.
King of Comedy.
Yeah.
I would rather see
So-
Red Dead like they do Fallout as a series,
I
or
would
like
love
the
it as a
upcoming
series.
whatever the film is, the Ragnarok or whatever.
Oh, God of War?
God of War.
Yeah. I think a series makes way more sense because there's so much stuff in there. You've got the whole syphilis story. Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
There's so much to get into.
I guess I think the one thing that you listen, if God of War ends up being as good as we think it will be, and it will be because it has the greatest showrunner in the world right now running it, I think you'll hear more talk about Red Dead getting something. The challenge with that is it is purely a Western. And I think they wonder if they can make that into a hit. But I don't see why not. I mean,
To that point, it's Naughty Dog. They may have a deal with HBO, so it wouldn't be Amazon, it'd be HBO, like Last of Us.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, what's it called on HBO?
The Last of Us?
No, the Western. What was that?
Westworld?
No, the actual Western that was on
Oh.
Deadwood.
Deadwood? Yeah.
You know, I mean, it
Deadwood
could be
was
really
great.
good.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I don't think Calvin and Hobbes was popular in the UK, so I never read it. But with all the talk on here, I decided to check it out. I'm not sure if it's the point, but is Calvin supposed to be an insufferable brat? Right now, a movie wouldn't appeal to me.
I'm not even going to address this. I'm not even going to address it.
Well,
I don't think he's a
breaking news-
insufferable brat.
Breaking news. The McRib is back.
Oh, God.
And McDonald's is selling a jug of its sauce for $20, baby.
Aw.
Let's go.
There you go.
Well,
I
guess
cannot-
what everyone's getting
So to
for
answer your
Christmas this
question,
year.
Anonymous,
I have never
the
had a
McRib is
McRib.
back.
You've never.
Really?
No, I've never had a
I don't know
McRib.
what it is, but it tastes like ribs.
I can't.
I
I
don't know
can't.
what it is, but it tastes like
I
rib.
literally cannot eat the McRib. The texture is
The
like
texture's
sand.
kinda funky.
McRib fans unite.
It's like
Come on.
sawdust.
Yeah.
I'll shelter
But wait,
you.
is this not always available at McDonald's?
No,
No,
it's like
it's
a seasonal
seasonal.
thing because whatever they put in there is
Because
probably
ribs come in and out of season like fruit.
Yeah, they collect all the. They
Oh
collect
no, it's not rib
through the
season.
year and then mash it together.
Like,
Come on, everyone, don't be afraid.
Every
to say
time
that
I
you
try
love
it,
McRibs.
it's like sawdust and grizzle.
Oh, boy,
I can't
okay.
eat it.
all right, what's next?
Spider Yabnik says, was so excited to see Gladiator 2 and was so let down. Yes, visually stunning, great acting, great music, but the writing is so bad. Character motivations changed every minute and so many plot holes. Wanted to love it, but sadly I was waiting for it to end.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Well, listen, that's everybody. It hits now. As of right now, Gladiator 2 has a 75% on the Rotten Tomatoes meter. Which, I mean, if you had asked me a few months ago, is about 50% higher than I would have expected it to be.
Is that critic scores too?
Yeah, that is
That
the
is
critic
critic.
score. Out of
That's-
192 reviews, it's certified fresh at a 75%. I'm seeing it. What day is it today? Wednesday. I'm seeing it tomorrow.
That's
Okay.
in like the Twisters range of rating right there. So
Yeah,
I'm good
so-
with it. That's good. That's a
So
good rating.
I mean, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment on it. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I thought I was seeing Wicked last night. I'm not. I'm seeing Wicked tonight.
Oh, me too.
Not till like 10 o'clock though.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
I've got a 7:30 show.
Oh, I wish we had an earlier
It's like a
screening.
3-hour movie, man.
I
Good
know.
luck.
I know it's gonna be long.
What's 3 hours?
Wicked.
Almost. Well,
Part
no, it's like
one.
it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes or
yeah,
something.
but
2
then
hours
the
and 41.
trailers and everything.
That's
Yeah,
a whole
so-
lot of singing.
It's a lot of singing.
That's a lot.
Every time Ray does that, I think he's doing John Ralphio. Anyway, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. It is Ridley Scott, but we'll find out. I'll do my out of theater reaction on it tomorrow.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I have seen people's admittedly valid concerns about How to Train Your Dragon live action being shot for shot, but the director said some scenes are, but this is a different movie. I'm excited to see where they take it.
Here's the thing. A lot of people very much want a shot for shot remake. And then there are people who really don't. I think you need to mix it up. I think you need to have iconic moments from the original film that are shot for shot, and then work in some of your own stuff. But look, at the end of the day, I don't fucking care. I really don't. I just care that you deliver a good movie.
And let's face
That's it. That's all I care about.
this movie is going to be introduced to a new generation who haven't seen the last one. So, you want to make an impact, make it a good movie.
There you go.
As long as because here's the reality. You can do shot for shot and it'd be a bad movie. Well, John, the original was good. If you did a shot for shot, how can it be bad? Oh, believe me, it can.
Psycho.
Psycho is it's the whole basis of, remember we talked about this a lot. I've seen many good scripts turn into bad movies because it's 20% the story, 80% the telling of the story. And you can go shot for shot from an animated thing to a live action thing, and it can be crap. So as long as they make it good, if I walk out of that theater with a smile on my face and all that kind of stuff, I won't care if they did it shot for shot, 50-50, really heavily adapted. I really don't care at this point. Just show me a good movie, make it a good experience. I mean, just the very fact that it is live action is going to create a different kind of experience than the animated film will. So I'm fine with that either way. We'll just see how they go about doing it, though. Anyway, thanks for writing that in. Appreciate it, man. What's next?
Logan says, John, call me crazy, but I found out today that the director of Minecraft movie directed Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre. I too thought it looked horrible, but knowing this context, I'm somehow excited for this movie. The style just makes sense. Check out Gentlemen Broncos.
It
still could not be. It could be executed poorly. So
We'll save a seat for you guys.
Nacho Libre just never worked for me. And I wanted it to. I really did. Because, I mean, it's wrestling, Jack Black, all that kind of stuff.
Beans.
But it never did work for me.
Always
so
cooking them beans.
let's look at some of the other stuff that he's also directed. He hasn't really directed anything in a bunch of years.
It's been a minute.
He did an episode. He did 2 episodes of Last Man on Earth. That was pretty good. Making History. He did 1 episode of Son of Zorn. Oh, that's right. He directed Masterminds. Do you guys remember Masterminds?
Yeah.
Was that early in his career?
That was 2015.
Okay.
And again, it had, I thought it had Jack Black. Who did it have? No, it had, from Hangover, Zach Galifianakis.
Mm-hmm.
It had John Hamm.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me get the actual
Owen Wilson
cast
was
list.
in it.
That's so it's Zach Galifianakis,
Kristen
Owen
Wiig.
Wilson, Kristen Wiig,
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis, Kate McKinnon.
Wow.
Had a good cast. Not a very good movie at all.
It fell short.
Yeah. And so while I'm a big fan of Napoleon Dynamite, I personally haven't been that big of a fan of anything he's done since. But there are people who really do like Nacho Libre. And I was excited for it. I wish I liked Nacho Libre, but I didn't. But there are others who did. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, again, there have been things that I thought looked like crap, and then I watch it and fall in love with it. That's the fun thing about being a film and a TV fan. So hopefully that'll be one of the cases here. All right, what's next?
Andrew says, hey, John, how big of a failure do you think Red One will be? Right now it's at 84 million worldwide, but has a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Could the high audience score give it some legs?
Nope. No. It's going to disappear at the box office this weekend because it had made like 32 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about to run into Gladiator and Wicked. I'm going to guess a 70% drop. I could be wrong about that. I'm just guessing, but my guess is it's going to take a 70% drop. And so no, it's not going to have any legs. It's going to be one of the biggest financial failures of the year. All right, what's next?
Ian McAllister says, when I first watched How to Train Your Dragon in theaters, I was 15 years old and with my grandparents. And when I saw the movies, specifically the test drive scene with that incredible score, I felt for a moment that dragons are real and I could actually fly on the back of one. I felt that in my theater seat. I still feel that watching it on my TV. That to me is what this movie has to accomplish to work. That test drive scene is going to be incredible to see. It needs to convince me.
There are scenes like that really capture awe and wonder. That in that first movie when he's flying and they're going through the clouds and the test, like you felt that awe and wonder. It's very reminiscent to me of First Flight in Man of Steel. When Henry Cavill first puts his fist down on the ground, the rocks start to levitate and he starts to flying, you feel that awe and wonder. Zack Snyder has I talk about it a lot, a little animated movie called Rise of the Guardians, The Owls of Gaul, that they have this big aerial scene as well. And even though it's animated, you feel that awe and wonder. I 100% agree with you. Now, let's say they don't capture that moment well, the rest of the movie can still be good. But I think if you want a touchstone moment, if they can capture in the live action movie that awe and wonder of that flight scene, like the original does, that'll be a huge win for them. Because if they can do that, that'll go a long way to capturing the magic of the movie overall. So I agree. All right, what's next?
Rob Buck says, hey, John and crew, after seeing the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, I admitted a shocking truth to my wife. Oh, here we go. I've never seen any of them. She was flabbergasted and sat me down to watch the first one immediately. To say I'm excited for this movie would be an understatement. Watched the trailer right after and was blown away by the shot-for-shot moments it created. Also, bit of fun showed her Batman Beyond, and she thought Terry was going to be Robin. Have a good one.
Because nobody cares about Terry McCuckleberry. Nobody cares
you
about
put some
Terry
respect on his
McCuckleberry.
name. He is Terry McGinnis.
I'm just saying, nobody cares about that kid.
Literally, so many people do.
And I am
Point
so
of contention.
excited. I am so excited for you that you have not seen the How to Train Your Dragons movie, because that means you get to do something I can never do again. You get to watch him for the first time. I think you're gonna, if you like the first one, I think you're gonna be equally in love with the second and the third one. And
right.
Terry McGickleberry completely agrees with that. Because nobody cares about Terry McDickleberry.
So many people do.
All right, what's next?
Dildar, the Glorious.
The Glorious.
Despite everything else going on with Disney this year, you can't deny this has been an amazing year for their movies, from the main studios to the others they own. Not only have they made billions of dollars combined, but the quality has been great too.
Look, we went over this on the show last week, just the stock price improvement, the stabilization of everything since Bob Iger came back. And right now they have the #1 and #2 biggest box office films of the year. And they will probably end up with, at minimum, 3 of the top 4. Because Moana, I don't know if Moana is going to be #1 or #2 or #3, but it'll definitely be in the top 3 or 4. So they're having a very, very good year. As they said at the investors thing the other day, one of the best quarters in the history of the company. So yeah, listen, we give the criticism when they've had down spots. I mean, again, if I had a nickel for every time I said the words fuck Disney in the last couple of years, I'd be very rich. But give them the flowers
Only
when they deserve it. They've had it's been a very good year for them, man. All right, what's next?
Dan says, hi, John. Love the channel. Been watching since early AMC days.
Oh, thank you, man.
I know you love John Williams, but who are some of your favorite composers? Maybe like top 5, film scores, but we'd have to think about that. But who are your favorite?
I don't do any top 5.
Who are some of your other favorite composers? And do you listen to movie scores in the car while driving, or is it just me? It's a lot of people.
No, I honestly don't listen to movie scores per se. I'll listen to individual tracks.
But not like the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I don't sit down and pop in, Last of the Samurai, the score and listen to that all the way through or anything like that.
I used to do that more when I was younger, and there was no such thing as streaming, and if you didn't have the VHS, like you didn't watch the film. So yeah, so I'd put on like did you like how I just readily agreed to that when you think about
exactly.
it? I would just put on a score to something that I liked, because then I could envision the movie, but I don't do that as much anymore.
Just when I'm running with stuff.
I mean, you Alfred Newman, like when you go back, I fell in love with a lot of Alfred Newman stuff because of the John Williams concerts. because he would do a lot of
Yeah, because he was inspired by.
yeah he
and
was
worked
well
with.
he was kind of mentored
Yeah,
by,
worked with. Mhm.
by him. So that
Who's the Joker over here?
Howard Shore. I mean, the music he gave us just in the Lord of the Rings films, incredible.
Yeah,
Today, Hans Zimmer
yeah.
is, I mean, I just went to the Hans Zimmer concert, which was absolutely phenomenal. Michael Giacchino is a guy you're going to have to keep your eye on. He's already done a lot of very, very good stuff, but I think he's getting better. And as long as he doesn't get sidetracked into directing too much, because remember, he did that Werewolf by Night for Marvel and Disney Plus. He actually directed that. As long as he doesn't get too sidetracked in directing, he could become really big. And right now, I think the guy to keep our eyes on is oh, why am I freezing on his name? Gustafsson, Ludwig, who did The Mandalorian and who did Black Panther and who did like a lot of stuff. He's a young guy right now, and he is so damn good. His music is so good. So there's a lot of really good guys to keep your eyes on.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I love Cheerios, says with salt and no milk. Fantastic Four synopsis talked about how it suddenly gets personal. That made me wonder if this is in the film will be a reference to Doom. Recently watched Three Body Problem, and I like that. What if Doom invites Galactus to destroy their Earth? Say my name.
I don't think so. I really don't think. First of all, I'm not even sure Robert Downey Jr. as Doom will even be in the film.
I don't either.
If it is, it'll be very short, probably a post-credit, a reference, something like that. He's not going to be a major character in the film. So I really don't think that's the case. So how it will become personal, no idea, but I don't think, and you might be right? We don't know definitively that you're not. Maybe you are. I'm just saying, but from the information we have, my guess is I really don't think that's a reference to Doom at all. So, but you never know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Coolio Ray Curley says, if the live action How to Train Your Dragon is successful enough to get a sequel, so you think they should also get Cate Blanchett, or do you think they should also get Cate Blanchett back to play Hiccup's mom, or maybe Jaimon Hansu as the second film?
I don't do X actors and X role. I mean, look, if it does really great and they decide to do the second How to Train Your Dragon in live action, as long as you get a really good actress to play the role. I mean, listen, Cate Blanchett is a top 5. I don't think it's a stretch to say Cate Blanchett is a top 5 greatest actress of all time. I honestly don't think it's a stretch to say that personally. She can do anything. She's remarkable. So you could say any role and mention Cate Blanchett's name and you say, sure, she'd be great for that. So, but honestly, I think there'd be 40, 50 or 60 actresses that would be really great for that role, but it doesn't have to be any particular one. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Okay, Sam Fisher says puppy eyes. John, Toothless has the most I get the brain cell once a week black cat eyes I've ever seen. They are more like cat or honestly lizard, but
it's so key. The eyes of Toothless.
Yeah.
That's it, right? It's the puppy dog eyes. And they captured it so
just
well in that trailer.
emerald green.
Yeah, when
he
he opens his eyes, they just captured that so well. Oh, they did so good. All right, what's next?
Mega Red says, hi, crew. I think Reed and Doom's relationship will be similar to Thanos and Gamora's in Guardians. I don't know, IW. In the background for the most part until the Avengers movies, where the relationship moves to the forefront and is integral for the plot.
Again, I'm not even sure Doom's going to be in Fantastic Four. And by the way, the Doom we get, I don't necessarily think it's going to be the Doom that's from their Fantastic Four's universe. It could be, I mean, it might be, but it could also be from any one of the infinite other universes they have. All we know is that it's not going to be the Doctor, it's not going to be Victor Von Doom from the Sacred Timeline Earth. We know that because Tony Stark is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not sure we're going to get much of that at all in this, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Mega Red with a two-parter says, let's see. I can't tell you how excited I am for RDJ as Doom. I always felt the Multiverse Saga played it too safe for what it promised. RDJ returning as Doom is exactly the crazy multiverse story setup I want. But I also speculate he won't be the only one. Now that audiences are acclimating to the poster boy returning as the main baddie, who would you bring back for the MCU in RDJ fashion as a recast role in Secret Wars? I know this is the ultimate X or Actor X role question, but please indulge me.
No, I'm not going to do that. But to your point, when a lot of people act in shock, when they announced Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Doom, I said, this is fucking brilliant. I still to this day think it's absolutely brilliant. It opens up so many extremely cool emotional story hooks that you could put in there that they don't necessarily have to do, but it makes it so many emotional story hooks available to them. It exploded all over the world. Like when they announced that, that's all anybody ever talked about. And again, the possibilities that you introduced that simply would not be there if you had any other actor playing the role, I think is impressive and is fascinating. And it's going to have a lot of people talking about it. It's going to have all the attention in the world. I think it's absolutely brilliant what they're doing. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be good, right? We've seen lots of things that have great potential that then get wasted. And maybe this will be that. But yeah, I think it was an absolutely brilliant move on their part. And we'll see what they got in store for us. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, John mentioned his favorite TV lawyer. Mine is John Larroquette's Dan Fielding in Night Court.
Oh, he was so good.
Charming, funny, sleazy, perfect lawyer.
I mean, the only reason I even bothered checking out the revised Night Court was because they had Dan in it.
Woof.
That's a bad show.
Did you see Wendy Malick's going to be guesting on it too? And I was like, you're doing so great on Shrinking. Why? I understand we all got to make our nickel, but Wendy, why?
It's got an audience.
I know.
I love the original Night Court. And I'm not one of these things that, no, nothing will be as good as the original. No. I was actually quite intrigued by them doing a revival of it. And the very fact that they had John Larroquette back. By the way, John Larroquette, very short stint on the West Wing as the Attorney General. Oh, he was so good in that. But the very fact that John Larroquette was in it and like doing that and it was going to be Harry's daughter, I was actually really interested in it. Chris put it best. Woof.
It's just not.
It's not funny. It's not a good show.
If you like it,
more power to you. That's great. It's all subjective.
But it feels so dated when you watch it. It just, and when I watch reruns of Night Court, I don't feel that way though.
No. Watching the original Night Court doesn't feel dated.
Yeah.
Watching this try to be that original Night Court feels dated and just not funny.
Yeah.
It's just, if it made me laugh, it'd be one thing, but too bad. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, John, are you sure Nora isn't playing anywhere near you? I live in Riverside County. I'm seeing it at Tyler Galleria later today.
Well, okay,
so maybe it
might be in there now, but when I did look for it when it came out, it wasn't playing there.
They may have expanded it.
Yeah, they may have expanded it, which is great if it is, because I got to get out and see it. I've been dying to see it, but it hasn't played here. So hopefully it will, because that's where I would go to watch it, is at that particular theater. So I'll definitely check it out. All right, what's next?
Coolio says, also, where's Disney's Atlantis The Lost Empire live action remake movie at with Tom Holland and Zendaya?
This has come up a bunch in the last couple of years. I honestly don't think anybody would be interested in it.
Was that the one with Michael J. Fox?
Chris would be clearly interested, but as somebody who is interested in it, do you think there's a big audience for that?
I don't know if there is. I don't know.
That was Michael J. Fox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I really, really like it. But then again, like people constantly, like during the pandemic, were confusing Treasure Planet and Atlantis.
Yes.
They're like, oh, I never saw this movie about like he's in a different world and they are underwater. Treasure Planet. And you're like, no, it's Atlantis. Say it so many fucking times.
Now, is this the one? Is this the one with the Muppets in it?
What? No. That one's better.
Oh,
that one's much better.
It's the one with the Muppets in it.
Muppet Treasure Island, perfect movie.
Cool.
All
so
right.
that's what Atlantis is, Muppet
Yeah.
Treasure Island.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, me in 2019, I don't care for the Lion King remake since it's mostly shot for shot. Me in 2024, they better not change the damn thing and How to Train Your Dragon. Why am I like this?
You know what? Every movie is a different thing. Just because you want one thing from one movie doesn't mean you're going to want the same thing for a different movie. Right? There are variables to all that. It's like, oh, well, if you wanted it for this, you should want it for... No, every movie's different. And listen, I am one... I know everybody thinks it's the cool thing to trash on the Lion King remake. And the Lion King remake, in my opinion, was not as good as the original, but it was still really enjoyable. I had a great time watching it. I remember me and Aaron Cummings were watching it, and there was a point where Aaron and I looked at each other. We were both crying. Like, we were both so emotional. It was like, I personally loved it. But every movie will be different. Just because one thing works or doesn't work for one doesn't mean it will or will not work for another. And just because you feel like it did work for one doesn't mean you should feel like you want that for another. So every film is unique and different. Every project is as well. All right, what's next?
Jay Newby says, okay, hear me out. The DCEU does exist in Gunn's DCU, but as movies, basically loosely based on the real life superheroes. Peacemaker Season 1 is revealed to be Peacemaker's movie pitch to James Gunn. Gunn says he likes it, but the actors would never agree to that cameo. So those are all movies within the DCU.
No, I don't think so. And here's why. And I know you're kind of asking that question tongue in cheek, but I think there's a very serious reason why you don't. I think if they just launched the new DCU and said, oh, yeah, all that DCEU stuff, yeah, that's a movie universe in our universe. I really think that would be insulting to all those movies that were there. Now, granted, most of those movies all failed, but I like most of them personally. And I think it would just kind of be an insult to that. I think it's just best to say that doesn't exist in this universe. They were their own things and they existed and they were great. To relegate them to saying, they were just the movies in our universe, I think that would be disrespectful. Like, I don't think it's disrespectful to cancel that universe. Say, hey, that universe had its run. It did its thing and it worked and didn't work in its own way. And that's where it is. Now we move on and we have a new cinematic universe. I think that's perfectly good. That's the circle of life. But to say those movies are now just a footnote or a punchline in our cinematic universe, I think that would be disrespectful. And I don't think there's any need to do that. All right, what's next?
Our final tip here from Fred. Hey, John and crew, have you guys seen the TV spots of Sonic 2, hilarious with Jim Carrey and Chris and Ray? Let's keep our faith. Sonic 3 to do 7 million Chaos Emeralds equal. Also, John, can't believe you didn't like. No, how? Wait, I didn't get that corn in my face. Well,
Guys,
I think
you know what? I think a lot of people
there.
need to prove before you submit. Show your message to somebody else too.
Download Grammarly.
Or just use Grammarly.
Grammarly.
He may have typed that in the dark room.
That's true. I liked the idea though that Ray and I were in a Sonic 3 spot.
Oh,
I got really excited. I was like, we're in one of the spots.
That'd be great.
Listen,
We're doing so much marketing.
I don't think that 700 million for Sonic 3 is out of the realm of possibility. $1 billion is out of the realm of possibility. Anybody who thinks Sonic's going to make $1 billion, you are a special kind of crazy. And I don't think it'll make 700. Not if you looked at the trajectory of Sonic 1 to Sonic 2.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll make 700 million. But I don't think it's ludicrous
Speed.
if you think maybe 700 million. I'm still thinking 6. Because what did the second one make?
It was like 550.
550? Was it 550? Was it that much? I thought it was lower than that. Like
Oh no,
5.
yeah, I think that one dropped. Let me look. Sonic
I think
2.
like Sonic 1. I think Sonic 2 made
405. Yeah.
405. Okay, so it went from 300 and something the first one to 405. Great, and I think we can continue to see that upward trajectory. So I'm thinking 5 or 6, but 7 is not impossible.
I feel like 6 is on the.
All I
generous
know is that
side.
I'm very excited to watch it.
Yep.
I think. Did you see the new character posters came out?
No.
And they gave Jim Carrey 2 character posters, one as
as
and
his
one as-
dad.
So I'm guessing the dad is actually going to play a bigger role in this, because when I first saw that trailer, I thought that was just going to be one funny scene where he meets himself as his dad. But now I'm thinking, no, he's probably going to be a bigger character because he's on the main poster and he has his own character poster now. So we'll see how that turns out.
There you go.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us fun and interesting things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. By the way, keep your eye on the channel, guys. A little bit later tonight. Granted, it'll be really late. I'll be putting up my out of the theater reaction for Wicked, because Ann and I are seeing that tonight, and then we'll talk about it more on the show tomorrow. So for the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
It's a guess tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico,
See you later.
Chris Carr,
See you Friday.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.